Schlage Encode Plus up next. Welcome, and thanks for watching. I'm Ray, and if you're new to the channel, please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. Tap the bell to get notified when I post new content, and give this video a thumbs up. I'd very much appreciate it. So earlier this year, Schlage released the Encode Plus, the first HomeKit compatible smart lock to feature Apple HomeKey. So I actually already have an existing Schlage lock on my front door, the Schlage Sense, which has worked great for the past 6 years. And is probably one of the more reliable HomeKit devices I have in my home. And I would have never dreamt about changing it, except Apple introduced HomeKey and Schlage said, hey, we're going to be one of the first to, or probably the first, to support HomeKey with the Encode Plus. So when Schlage released these earlier in the year, I had a brain fart, missed the drop. Everything was sold out by the time I checked at Home Depot and Lowe's. And then just a couple weeks or a couple months ago, Schlage said, hey, we're going to drop some more during the summer. Keep your eye open at Home Depot online or Lowe's online. And that's exactly what I did. And I kept my eyes peeled, heard the drop was happening, read it on a few places, and started refreshing the Home Depot site. And luckily, I was able to snag one of these. These are in high demand. And if you look at the packaging, you can see they didn't even prepare consumer packaging. This is like builder packaging or like bulk packaging. I don't know. But I was able to get one. And today we're going to take a look at it. We're going to unbox it. I'm going to install it. I'm going to set it up and show you how everything works. And then I'll give you my review on it and how I think it compares with my existing Schlage Sense. So if you own a Schlage Sense like I do currently, and you're thinking about replacing with the Schlage Encode Plus, stay tuned. So we're going to go ahead and get started with always my favorite part of the videos, and that is the unboxing, because I get to look at what's inside. Let's go ahead and get to it. So again, this obviously is not retail packaging. I believe Schlage wants to get this in as many hands as possible, even without the packaging ready. So it looks like we have some quick start guides, English, French, and Espanol. Here we have a bag, which looks like it has all the necessary mounting hardware. There's a key there, some long screws, and your batteries. Here looks to be the keypad. Pretty cool. So that is the keypad for the lock. Kind of the area where you tap. And I got this in the aged bronze, and it's going to replace my existing lock, which is aged bronze, and the hardware I have currently on my door is aged bronze. So everything's going to match really nicely. This looks to be the back side of the lock with the thumb turn. This is probably for mounting, and this is where I believe you place the batteries. If it's like my my current one, yep, that's where you place the batteries. Cool. And this is to mount, I'm sure. And the deadbolt itself. I think that's all in the box. Yep, looks like to be everything that's in the box. So here are the parts you're going to need to install, and that looks to be all the parts for the Schlage Encode Plus. Now we'll be installing this next, but one thing I wanted to point out, if this is your first time ever installing a smart deadbolt, make sure your existing lock turns freely. That means the thumb turn and the deadbolt itself should enter the mortise freely without any resistance. The motors in these aren't very strong, so if it doesn't turn freely, you do risk the chance of having a jam or maybe the lock malfunctioning or not locking at all. So make sure that the lock turns freely. Now, if it is stuck and you need to adjust the mortise, I do have a video, and I'll post the link down below and up here somewhere, where I show how to adjust the mortise so that the lock will turn freely. So let's go ahead and get to it and install this on the door. And today, as I mentioned, we'll be replacing this existing Schlage Sense that I have on my front door.
This has been a really reliable lock for me, and it's worked great for all the years that I've had it. But now it's time to change it so that we can get some of that Apple HomeKey functionality. So this is the back of the lock. And as I mentioned, I made sure that this lock turned freely when I installed it. And you want to make sure that your lock does the same. Let's go ahead and take a look at the front side of the lock. And this is the front of the Schlage Sense. Again, it's a great working lock, and it covers all the things that I want in a front door lock. That being a physical key access, keypad, and obviously my smart home HomeKit access. The one thing that it is missing that the Schlage Encode Plus has is Apple HomeKey access. So let's go ahead and install the Schlage Encode Plus. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my existing Schlage lock. Your removal might be a little different, and if you don't have a smart lock or if you have a traditional lock. So for this Schlage lock, I have a screw in here and a screw there. So now I have to remove this mounting plate, and I have 2 screws here. And these 2 screws will release the existing lock or keypad from the front. And for those of you who don't have a smart lock, this will release the key bolt on the front as well. And the keypad is now removed. So this is the actual kind of bolt or lock for the new lock. And I'm looking at it, comparing them. Hopefully I can catch that. And for all intents and purposes, they seem to be the same part since they're both Schlage. So I'm going to go ahead and use my existing Schlage Sense deadbolt part there. Just one more cursory check. Yeah, they look to be the exact same part, so I won't bother changing those out. So we're going to go ahead and start by placing the keypad through the front here. And then there is a wire that we're going to go ahead and move underneath there and make sure this tab here goes through the tab in the lock itself. And that should slide in just like that, and give it a good push so that it stays. And luckily it is for the most part the same shape. I might have to do some touch-up painting, but we were planning on painting this door red anyways. Now on the reverse side, we're going to make sure that cord comes through there. And then if you look at the plate, it says top right here, top. So that's the top. And then we'll run the cord through this square and install this back plate here using these 2 screws. Hand tighten first, and then tighten with a screwdriver, or I have an installed driver. So check that the front is straight and level. And luckily I have lines from my existing lock that I can follow. And go ahead and install the 2 screws. And there you have it. The plate is installed, the wire is sticking through, and there's a little thumb tab there. So here we have the back side of the lock, and we're going to remove the battery cover so we can get at the screw mount parts. And let's go ahead and remove the battery holder. This is the battery holder here. It's where you put your AA batteries, and it takes 4 of them. And they actually include batteries, so that's good. And here are the 2 screw holes here and there, and these are the 2 screws that we're going to use to install this. So first thing what you want to do is you want to go ahead and plug this in. Here's the female plug, and the male plug is right here. So you're going to go ahead and plug these together. Stuff those in there, kind of try and get them in a good spot. There is a little bit of a recess in here where you can put the plug in so that it sits really nice and snug. And then you also want to make sure that this part goes into this tab. So this connects there. So you want to make sure all these things kind of fit together like a puzzle piece. And then once you have that, nothing left to do but go ahead and use the screws to install the rest of the lock. And tighten these screws down. They include some Duracells actually. Make sure you have the polarity correct. Spring side, usually negative. I usually use rechargeables, but these Duracells will do in a pinch for sure. Then we go ahead and just slide this in. Replace the battery cover. And we are all set. A few confirmation beeps to tell you that it's on. Let's go ahead and set this up. Okay, to set up the lock, I'm gonna go ahead and use my iPhone, and I'm gonna go into the Schlage app. So on the app, choose add a lock on the top right. And it wants me to scan the code that's behind there. I probably shouldn't have added this cover yet. Got a little anxious. And there's the code I need to scan. I'm gonna hit continue. Okay, access the camera. Go ahead and scan that QR code. There it is. You have a Schlage Encode Plus. Have you installed the lock on your door yet? It's asking, yeah. Press and release the button shown. So the button's right here. Please wait while your device and lock complete the pairing process. And it's saying the process could take up to 30 seconds. And I got a confirmation beep. I'm gonna go ahead and hit connect to Wi-Fi. It says testing connection. Sounded like a confirmation beep. It says your lock is successfully connected. So now it wants me to punch in location name, access code, and the name of the person using the access code. So I'm gonna go ahead and do one real quick. So now it says open your door slightly. So this is gonna auto configure, and what it wants to do is it's gonna kind of do a little configuration on its own. And I'm just gonna hit I'm ready. Success. I'm going to choose finish, and there it is. Front is shown up, and here it is locked. I will unlock it via the app. One thing I noticed right off the bat is this seems to be a bit quieter than the Schlage Sense. Not that the noise ever bothered me, but this is a bit quieter. So let's go ahead and stick this into HomeKit, and we're going to go ahead and go to Works With here. You can see it on the app, Works With, and Apple HomeKit. Then we're going to do Get Started. I'm going to connect locks. We're going to go to step 2. And you can configure this straight into HomeKit. I like to configure it into the Schlage app first so that we can get all those features that are only available on the Schlage app. And now, yeah, it wants me to go ahead and scan that HomeKit code this time, which is right next to the original code for the lock from Schlage. So there's the HomeKit code there. Doesn't seem to be scanning, might because I'm using beta software. This is iOS beta software, so I'm gonna go ahead and punch in the code manually. I'll read it. It's on the sticker as well. Then we'll hit continue. It says connecting the lock under HomeKit. I'm gonna go ahead and put this back. The cover. Connecting to lock might take a few minutes. And lock location, I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the living room. And lock name, just gonna leave it front. I haven't deleted the other lock from HomeKit. I might have to do that first. So this is the HomeKey. The HomeKey is available in wallet and can be used to unlock doors at this home. There's a little preview of it. Express mode, we're gonna go ahead and turn on express mode so I can just hold the phone near the lock. I won't have to unlock the phone. I can just hold the phone near the lock and it'll unlock. So let's go ahead and turn on that express mode. That sounds like a good feature to have. So this part is taking a few minutes, so just be aware it might take a while for you to get past this step. And access codes, now we are on the next step. It wants me to add access codes. I'm going to go ahead and shoot continue. And your access code. So this is an access code that you can use. They're recommending you don't use codes like your debit card or passcode, device passcode, or your birthdays, as those will be easy to figure out, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a real simple one just for this test. It's going to be very simple. Choose continue. This access code can be easily guessed. I'm going to go ahead and use it anyway. Allow guests to unlock this door with an existing personal access code. I'm just going to go ahead and continue on that. And lock automations. When anyone arrives at home, unlock. I don't want to do that. When the last person leaves home, I do want it to lock, so I'll use that automation. That's useful. And when the front unlocks, turn on living room entry light. I believe I had that configured for only at nighttime. I'm going to use that. That seems pretty useful, and I'm going to choose continue. And my lock has now been added to my home. Choose done. Now it says to please wait while we set up the default lock settings. This process could take up to 30 seconds. So with my previous Schlage Sense, to lock the door, I'd hit the logo on top. With the Schlage Encode Plus, I hit this lock symbol here, and that will lock the lock. You can see the door is now locked. Now to access the home, and the reason why I like having a keypad on the front door as well as a physical key, is I can use the code, and let's use the one I just used to set up. And that unlocks the door. And of course, if we're feeling old school, we could use the key. We'll also unlock the lock. So I'm sure a new favorite way to access the home with smart locks that feature Apple HomeKey is to use it with your phone. And to bring up the HomeKey, just double tap the side button like you would to access your wallet. And at the top, you'll see your Apple HomeKey there. Now what's cool about Apple HomeKey is my lock is a dark colored bronze, so my key is dark colored. Also, if you can see, I don't know if I can capture that. I'll try and capture that on the camera. Is the key also has a highlight as you move the phone. Kind of cool. So again, if your lock is dark, you'll have a dark HomeKey. If your lock is silver, your HomeKey should be silver. Now to unlock the door, all you have to do is hold the key up against the symbol there, and that unlocks the door. Go ahead and unlock that. And with Apple HomeKey, if you also have an Apple Watch, you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is just hold your watch up against that symbol, and that'll unlock the door. So let's go ahead and take a look at this lock in the Schlage app. And there it is, the front door lock. In the upper right, we can add new locks if we choose that. And we already went through that in setup. Upper left is the hamburger menu, which has your help center. You can manage all the locks in your home, manage HomeKit homes, Wi-Fi adapters if you have any Wi-Fi adapters. Works with will show the smart home platforms this lock works with. And my account will show you your account information, and here you can log out of the app if you want to from here. Bottom left will show you the settings, and it'll show built-in alarm. Right now I have that disabled. I had enabled on my old Schlage Sense. Never really, I'm excited I didn't use it, but never had an instance where the alarm would sound off, probably because I never had a detected forced entry. So you know what, I'm going to go ahead and enable that since I had it enabled on my old lock. And then here we have auto lock delay. So you can set the time that the lock will relock after you unlock it. So they give you from 15 seconds all the way up to 4 minutes. I'm not going to manage that here. I'll manage that in HomeKit. I'll manage auto lock in HomeKit. So I'm gonna leave that off. Then we have one touch locking, which is enabled, and that allows us to hit that lock button on the outside of the lock to lock the door. So I'm gonna keep that enabled. Key press beep so that the lock makes noise whenever you hit the keys. Leave that on. Or your Wi-Fi settings, that's already been set up, but that's where you can change it if you want to. Information, where all the information on the lock is, from everything for your model number, serial numbers, to the battery levels and what firmware you're using. Then we have the name, which is the name of the lock, and I just named it front door, and you can change it there. Then you have notification settings. You can have this notify you, and this is the native app. It'll notify you when door is locked or door is unlocked. Then you can also have notifications in HomeKit if you want. You can turn either on or off, your preference. And then here we have firmware settings, and this is the current firmware that this lock is using. Then you can delete the lock too. And on the bottom, we also have history, and it'll show you the history of how the lock was accessed and what times they were accessed. You can also have the calendar here, so you can pick the days to see when the lock was accessed or how the lock was accessed during those days. And you can also have a filter if you want to show when certain access codes access the lock or when I access it with my virtual key. And in the bottom, we have users. So these are the codes that were assigned during the HomeKit setup. So if you look at the top, it has that default code we set up. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete that, but it notes us here is that it was created using Apple Home app. So to manage it, we have to go to the Apple Home app to delete it. So let's go ahead and go into the Apple Home app by opening the Apple Home app. And let's look for the front door, and it is right here. It's in my favorites. So I'm a long press and choose accessory details, and it's showing that the door is locked. We can unlock it from the Home app by holding it up, and the front door is unlocking. And now it's unlocked. We'll go ahead and lock it since no one's there in that area. And I don't think anyone's going to step through the door, but you never know. I'm going to hit the gear icon in the bottom. Now this will show you the battery level, whether it's charging or not. It's not, because it's running off batteries. It's in the living room. It's in my home view. It's in my favorites. Here's where you can manage access. So it'll list everyone, like all the residents of the home. And here's where you can also add guests. So if you wanted to add a guest, you would choose add guests. You can either add their name or a description of the guest, who the guest is, if you have a housekeeper, lucky you, or if you have a house sitter or dog walker or whatever, you can give them access to your front door if you want to. And this access code is randomized, but if you want to give them a access code, say it's a family member or someone else who's staying with you for a while and they want their access code to be something they can remember, you can punch it in there. Let's go back, and then the set of automations that you want to set this lock up with. When anyone arrives home, this is what it gave to me initially when I set it up. I didn't choose that. I did choose when last person leaves home. That uses your location data to lock the lock, which is why I wanted to manage that auto lock here in HomeKit. And then when front door unlocks, turn on living room entry light. I did enable that during setup. I've used the lock for a bit, and it turns out that that's pretty annoying, so I turned it off. And then there's other automations that this is included in. The 12 a.m. daily one is a lockdown automation I have, which is why it's on. And lockdown for me, my lockdown automation just locks every door and closes the garage and does everything. And that happens at 12 midnight in case someone forgets to do it. We always lock our doors, and I always ask Siri to lock down the house well before 12 midnight, but that's just in case someone forgets to. And then scenes, and this just shows the scenes again where the lock is included. Status and notifications, you can turn on status and notifications here. I have it included in home summaries, and activity notifications, and time is any time of day and when people are here or not. So now I did make that temporary code that I want to delete, and I want to show you how to do that here. And you go into home settings, and then you pick whoever made that code. So I made that temporary code, and I want to get rid of it because everyone who's watching this video will know how to get into my home unless I delete it. So if we go to the bottom, you can see it shows locks, and personal access code. It will be under there. And there's the access code. If you remember, that is the one I created. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the access code. And it will say you'll still be able to unlock doors in your home using the Home app, Siri, and the HomeKey, but I won't have an access code. So I'm going to change that access code, but for right now, I'm going to go ahead and remove it. And the access code is gone. Then if I go back here, I can create my access code again if I wanted to. So that is how you get rid of the access code or any access codes that you make for this home in HomeKit.
Now, since I already owned a great Schlage Sense on my front door, was it worth it to upgrade to the Encode Plus just for Apple HomeKey? Well, I think owners of the Schlage Sense, like myself, will see two distinct benefits from the Encode Plus. One is obviously Apple HomeKey. I can't state how convenient it is to be able to use your phone or use your Apple Watch to unlock your door. The other is the noise. Now, the noise, admittedly, it never bothered me, but it can be a bit loud. And the new Encode Plus is much quieter, I think. And if the noise for the Schlage Sense ever bothered you, then I think picking up the Encode Plus would definitely be a distinct benefit, as well as having, of course, Apple HomeKey. I think it's a personal choice. Do I personally think it was worth it to drop 300 bucks? Well, it actually wasn't 300 bucks. I actually was able to punch in the coupon code as I was buying this, and I got 10% off. So, but it's close enough to 300 bucks. Was it worth 300 bucks for me to upgrade? So yes, the Schlage Encode Plus with Apple HomeKey is worth it. So whether you're a HomeKit or smart home enthusiast like myself, whether you have the Schlage Sense or this is your first smart lock, if you can get your hands on it, I say pick it up. Pick it up, don't think about it, because having the ability to unlock your front door with your iPhone with the Apple HomeKey is a great feature to have. Made even better if you have an Apple Watch. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is touch your watch onto the symbol on the lock and it will unlock. It's almost like magic. It's worth the price admission for that alone. Plus the styling, at least for what I got, the aged bronze Camelot, the styling is a little bit updated and looks a little bit more streamlined and looks a little bit better, and the back part is a lot smaller, so it'll take less space on your door. Aesthetically, it just looks better as well. So what are your thoughts on the Schlage Encode Plus? Did you pick one up? Were you able to get one either with the first drop or the second drop during the summer? Was it worth it for you? What are your favorite features? I'd like to know. Please leave them in the comments below. And until the next one, please take care and be safe out there.